I stood in the middle of our living room on December 22nd and watched my mother-in-law, Beverly, graciously offer to organize all the gift cards we had bought for our employees, nieces, and nephews. It felt like a rare moment of holiday spirit from a woman who usually brings nothing but criticism and bitterness to our home. My name is Jamie, and I've been married to my husband, Chris, for 8 years. For 8 years, I have navigated the minefield that is Beverly. She is the quintessential JUSTNOMIL, manipulative, narcissistic, and obsessed with appearing wealthier than she is. She lives in a small apartment she can barely afford, yet she wears designer labels and looks down on anyone who doesn't shop at luxury boutiques. This year, my husband and I had a very successful year with our small business, and we decided to be generous. We bought $5,000 worth of high-value gift cards, Visa, Amazon, and local luxury spas, to give out at our annual Christmas Eve bash. We wanted to thank our team and give our family a Christmas they'd never forget. Beverly insisted on helping by placing them into festive, gold-stamped envelopes and labeling them with her fancy calligraphy. She spent 4 hours locked in the den, humming carols and sipping eggnog. I wanted to believe she was changing. I wanted to believe that the magic of Christmas had finally softened her heart. But as she left that evening, I noticed something off. She was clutching her designer handbag a little too tightly, her eyes darting toward the door as if she were expecting someone to tackle her. She had a frantic, vibrating energy about her, the kind of nervous twitch she only gets when she's pulled off a major lie. After she drove away, I walked into the den. The room was silent, smelling of peppermint and expensive stationery. I looked at the stack of envelopes. They looked perfect. They were sealed, gold-stamped, and organized by value. But then I saw a small, translucent piece of plastic on the rug near the desk. It was a discarded activation tab from a generic $5 grocery store coffee card. My heart did a slow, sickening sink. I had only bought premium black and gold corporate cards. I hadn't stepped foot in a grocery store for weeks. I knew in that moment that Beverly hadn't been organizing. She had been harvesting. I didn't open the envelopes immediately. I sat on the floor of the den, the cold winter moonlight cutting through the blinds, and felt the weight of a decade of her microaggressions culminating in this one moment. I grabbed my laptop and logged into the portal for the Visa cards we had purchased. I began the tedious, heart-pounding process of entering the serial numbers from our digital receipts. Card 1. Active. Balance $250. Card 2. Active. Balance $500. Then I got to the 10th receipt, the one for the $1,000 grand prize card intended for our loyal office manager. I checked the balance. 0. My blood went cold. I checked the transaction history. It had been drained at a luxury department store just 20 minutes after Beverly left our house. The density of the fraud hit me like a physical blow. Beverly hadn't just dipped into the pot. She had systematically gutted it. I grabbed one of the gold-stamped envelopes she had so carefully prepared. I held it up to a high-powered work light I use for my hobby. Through the thick, expensive paper, I didn't see the sleek, matte finish of the Visa card. I saw a thin, cheap, flimsy piece of plastic with a cartoon coffee cup on it. I used a razor blade to carefully slide open the seal. Inside was a $5 Starbucks card. She had spent 4 hours using a travel hairdryer to melt the adhesive, swapping our high-value cards with $5 filler cards she must have bought in bulk at the supermarket. She had then resealed them with such precision that under normal party lights, no one would have suspected a thing until they went to pay for their groceries or a spa day and were told they were broke. She was planning to use our $5,000 to fund her own fake life, likely to buy gifts for her socialite friends to prove she was still one of them. She was literally stealing from the hands of the people who worked for us to satisfy her own ego. I didn't tell Chris right away. I knew his heart. He's the kind of man who wants to see the best in everyone, especially his mother. If I told him without a mountain of proof, he'd find a way to rationalize it. He'd say she was confused or that the bank made a mistake. I needed the proof to be undeniable. On Christmas Eve, our house was transformed into a festive fortress. 60 people were there, friends, family, and the entire office staff. The catering was impeccable, the drinks were flowing, and Beverly was at the center of it all, wearing a brand new $1,200 fur-lined coat. She looked triumphant. She was holding court, telling everyone how she personally curated the gift cards this year. When it came time for the gift presentation, the room went quiet. I gathered everyone around the grand piano. Beverly stood next to me, beaming with a predatory pride, waiting for the praise to wash over her. "I have a special surprise this year," I said into the microphone, my voice steady despite the adrenaline. Beverly was so helpful in organizing our gifts that I wanted to give her the very first one. I handed her the $1,000 envelope, the one I knew contained the $5 coffee card. "Go ahead, Beverly. Open it. Let everyone see the value of your hard work." She froze. The smirk on her face didn't just fade, it curdled like old milk. She started stuttering, her hands trembling so hard the gold envelope rattled. "Oh no, Jamie. I couldn't possibly. Give it to the staff first." I didn't move. I insisted. The guests started cheering. "Open it! Open it!" Chris walked over, looking confused. "Mom, just open it, it's fine." She tried to drop the envelope into the large bowl of holiday punch by accident, but I caught it before it hit the liquid. I tore the envelope open myself and held up the $5 coffee card for the entire room to see. "It's strange, Beverly," I whispered, though the mic picked up every word. "I remember buying a $1,000 Visa for this envelope. How did it turn into a $5 latte while it was in your den?" The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating, and absolute. You could hear the distant sound of sirens and the crackle of the fireplace. Beverly tried to pivot. She claimed that I was the one who was unstable, that I had swapped the cards to frame her because I always hated her. She started a theatrical sobbing performance, clutching her chest and calling for mercy. But I was 3 steps ahead of her. I picked up the remote and turned on the 85-inch television in the living room. Actually, Beverly, I was worried about the security of the cards, so I checked the Nest Cam I have hidden in the bookshelf in the den. The screen flickered to life. For 10 minutes, the entire party watched a high-definition time-lapse video of Beverly. We watched her pull a travel hairdryer out of her purse. We watched her methodically steam open each envelope. We watched her slide our $500 cards into her bra and replace them with the cheap grocery store cards. We even watched her take a celebratory sip of her eggnog after she finished the last one. The gasps from our employees, the people she was stealing from, were like physical strikes. Chris walked over to his mother's designer bag, which was sitting on the velvet armchair. He didn't ask. He grabbed it and dumped the contents onto the coffee table. Out tumbled a mountain of our black and gold Visa cards. The betrayal was forensic. It was undeniable. Chris didn't scream. He didn't cry. He just looked at her with a hollowed-out expression and pointed at the door. "If you aren't out of this house and off this property in 60 seconds, I am calling the police and handing them this footage for a grand larceny report. Get out." Beverly fled into the night, screaming that we were vile and that she earned that money for the trauma of raising a son who would turn on his mother. She left behind a house full of people who now knew her true face. We spent the rest of Christmas Eve apologizing and manually recoding the cards for our staff. The gift card scandal has since become the stuff of legend in our social circle. Beverly is currently being investigated by the local PD after we filed a formal report, and she has been blocked by every single person in our family. She thought she could steal a luxury Christmas, but she only ended up stealing her own place in our lives. She is now effectively dead to us, and our children will never know the woman who tried to rob their future for a fur coat. So, what do you think? Was I too public with the execution, or did she deserve to have her crimes projected for the whole world to see? If your mother-in-law stole $5,000 from your business and your family, would you call the cops, or would you keep it quiet for the sake of the holidays? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you're glad Beverly got caught, and make sure to subscribe.